also happy. Biafrans are also happy that Nigeria recognized that my humble self, Dr. Orobweze, is the Deputy Prime Minister, the second in command to His Excellency Prime Minister Simon Ekpa. If all the Nigerian newspapers, all the Nigerian leadership recognizes that, I don't know who you are to think otherwise. So you can continue to operate in the black market. But at the end of the day, you will know that the leadership of the United States of Biafra, Obatobia has laid the structure from day one, and nobody can tamper with that. We are ready to work with everyone, but we have only one government, and we must ensure we have discipline in our government. And that discipline goes to my humble self. I also want to use this opportunity to let Biafrans know that our attorney Levy was able to communicate with His Excellency yesterday.
Oh.
Yes. And after that, he sent a message to me. And he also sent a message I'm going to pass on to you right now.
Oh, glory to God.
Oh.
Prime Minister is
God.
We were very happy yesterday. First, we will continue. We will continue to do what we are doing peacefully. Obato dear wants us to again, I know the message is not for us. He talked about the social media chaos that Ofodunebu, you know. We know that message, we are clear on that message, as all those that are following his footsteps, all those that are guarding our what we do online, all those that are following whatever Obato Obie has instructed, what he was doing with us before this incident is what I know we are doing. We are not deviating. We are not changing. But Obato Obie sent a message to Attorney Levy that the social media chaos, the social media madness, I am that it should stop. It should stop. It should stop. Mandine is going to call why not on way to come on social media approval a point. Mandina Asiasini in Hanasi. Abatobie has sent a message that should stop overall. And we are very, very happy. I was very, very happy. And probably we have to, like I said, we must continue what we are doing. He was limited to what he can say, again, because of the restrictions, which we know. Even though Obatobie has been allowed to, there is a relaxation in the communication, but there is also some restrictions. And all of us here should be able to know that when you are restricted, with all the lies Nigerian government has lied against Obatobie, there might be restrictions to things he can say and things he cannot say. And I totally understand that. And I believe all of you here understand that.
Your security men are in the Southeast. Is there any time the Igbo say, look, these people, they should not do their work, they should not secure the Southeast? If there is insecurity in the Southeast, then the federal government should be held accountable. Because that was the clamor, Simon Ekpa, and that's why we say arrest him, detain him, and prosecute him. Let us now see or know those unknown government in the Southeast, who are they? The federal government should not answer us. All this propaganda is coming home now. If there is any insecurity in the Southeast, the federal government should not tell us who is behind it, because IPOB has made it categorically clear that they can't kill any Igbo man. So let them go and tell us who is that person in the Southeast that is causing this problem. How can you call somebody unknown government? Remember, it was the federal government that called them unknown government. Because this propaganda now, we are beginning to unravel it. And let them tell us who is now giving them order. Or is this time on Ekpa in prison? It cannot be Nnamdi Kanu. You and I know that. So who are they acting on their order?
Let me ask you about the IPOB agitation. Simon Ekpa, for example, you've told me before that you're working with the foreign authorities to ensure. But now, what updates do you have now?
No, I think the Finnish government have their own procedure they're going through. The Nigerian government have forwarded all the relevant documents, exhibits, and everything about what's going on. So I'm sure I'm sure justice will be done.
So it looks like it's taking longer than necessary.
Well, it's not our country; it's a sovereign country. They have their own procedures, so they have to follow their own procedures. Ours is to ensure they will follow up and make sure that we monitor what's being done. But I'm sure they will do, because we have been able. I think the Attorney General did a fantastic job, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Defense, together with the Office of the National Security Advisors, comprehensive things were done. Exhibits were forwarded that will enable them to be able to take action.
How dangerous was Simon Ekpa's activities and all allied or related to your office and to the Nigerian society?
Very dangerous. Innocent people were killed just by his utterances. And so we needed to stop that. And that's immediately they picked him. You see that it has gone down. There are people like him that also doing those things. We're also equally going after them, both outside and within. There are people that benefit. The funny thing about the country is that some people think everything is about politics. So there are individuals that feel if there is peace, then maybe the government is doing too well, and then people want to applaud. So some people intentionally want to make sure that the country remains ungovernable. There's strife everywhere, but innocent people are killed. If you want to be a leader and you are praying for some people to be killed just because you want to come in, I think there's a problem somewhere.
So the agitation in the Southeast region, I mean, you have mentioned that it is not only the fight, well, there are other measures.
Yeah.
Do you think that the release of Nnamdi Kanu might help the situation?
Well, I don't know. I think the federal government is considering all options, and I think that's a decision, that's a political decision. It's not our own decision. Our own decision is to stop the killing, to ensure that we secure the communities and that they're free. People must stop providing necessary support to these individuals. In Maiduguri, why surrendering came up is that people stopped supporting them, and they were able to come out. So I think the same thing should be repeated here. So that we can have, to whatever grievance they have representatives that will represent them, that will make cases for them. But besides that, we're always using the kinetic and the non-kinetic. It's not only about force. The non-kinetic aspect is also working. Like I mentioned, the kinetic effort is just about 30%. Non-kinetic is almost 70-65% of the whole solution. So we're also working towards that. The federal government is working with the opinion leaders, with stakeholders in the Southeast, to ensure that they let them come together and discuss and be able to call this and stop this wanton killing. Those guys doing the killing, you wonder what they're doing for. They are just killing people randomly.
Welcome back. Well, it is no longer news that Simon Ekpa is presently in the custody of the Finnish government. Simon Ekpa, who had declared himself a disciple of Nnamdi Kanu, got the shocker of his life when IPOB spokesperson Ima Powerful, who is also Nnamdi Kanu's younger brother, had disassociated and also said that Simon Ekpa is a madman and that Simon Ekpa has nothing to do with the ideology and the morals of IPOB, and that his brother has nothing to do with him, and that this guy is just a terrorist, something like that. Now, Nnamdi Kanu had come up with DOS to manage IPOB should anything happen, which eventually happened. We also saw what happened, the extraordinary rendition and all of that. It was so terrible. Nnamdi Kanu woke up and he found himself in Nigeria. I mean, he was kind of catfished, sort of. A woman was used, obviously communicating in Igbo language. The woman had established herself, presented herself as a pretty woman with a lot of money from the United States, and with woman, seduction and money. Nnamdi Kanu, just could not resist it. Even if he wasn't going to go for the woman and her seduction, he was hoping that a lot of money was going to be given so as to proceed on actualizing his dream, which is to get Biafra. Now, Biafra itself is complex and complicated. How it was back in those years is not the same as it is right now. Even then, there were a little bit of complications, such as for example, the Ogoni people, headed by Kensaro Wiwa back then, didn't want anything to do with Biafra, as it is called. they felt that Igbos are simply associating with them because of what they have in their land, even though till today it's not as if it's 100% beneficial to them. Don't forget how things are in Nigeria. Now, sit at home, according to some people, is hurting those that are struggling in the Southeast, Igbos, and has nothing to do with the government. You cannot disrupt a government that is big on looting. They loot from the resources. That's how they roll. That's how they operate. They loot from the resources and they do a lot of terrible things with it. So if you sit at home, you go hungry. After all, there are basic needs of human beings. And these guys have acquired too much of it. So therefore, if you sit at home from now till tomorrow, it doesn't stop them from getting what they need to get. Now, because this sit at home is not really kind of beneficial to certain people, somehow it seems certain people sort of like decided to like cut off from Simon Ekpa's order. But you know, with this kind of movement, you will have those who have other plans. And Simon Ekpa himself has not eaten that part of violence if necessary. He often will post pictures and videos of harmed men. He claimed that these armed men are to protect the lives and properties of his people against the invasion of herdsmen. You all know how terrible these people are. They all come from different parts of wherever, you know, into Nigeria. In fact, it became wars during the reign of former military general Buhari. It became it's a serious issue. It's a serious issue. Anyway, Simon Ekpa's sit at home and Operation Ghost Mode / autopilot was not something that Nnamdi Kanu's cabinet wanted. I'm talking of the DOS now. They didn't like that. He was like a rebel to them. And internal issues, clashes back and forth. He came with the ghost mode and he continued with it. And before you know, he declared himself the prime minister of Biafra in exile. Now, it is true that when one leader is removed, the pack could, like how ships are, they could just break apart without focus. Now, a leader is needed, a strong one, but what are the approaches? How do you actualize your dream and your vision? Can you do that with dialogue? You only dialogue with people that are reasonable. That's how it works. You can only dialogue to get results with someone who is ready to dialogue and sit on the table with you and argue it. But if you're dealing with people who are unwilling to get that, then it means that you have to come to their level. And what's that level? That's the level that Simon Ekpa came to. But there is one thing. It cannot work because the people or group or the system that you are going against, they are more powerful and they have the structure that is recognized all over the world. That is why Simon Ekpa is presently where he is. The Nigerian government really called out Finland, and Finland had no other option than to call Mr. Simon Ekpa in, like, Oga, come in, what's wrong with you? And they had given him the first, but Simon Ekpa continued because he could not. When you are in, you are in. You have to wait till the end of it and see what becomes of you. That's how it is. You cannot escape it. He got into it. He probably didn't know he would be deported, or he didn't know that he could be deported. He didn't think of it that way. He never thought he could be imprisoned. He felt, Europeans are this, just the same way Nnamdi Kanu's matter is. But one thing he didn't understand is that if the United Kingdom, in their rules, policy, if they didn't help Nnamdi Kanu, because it is there written, if you have a if you're a citizen of two countries, if one thing happens in the other country, you cannot call them to come and help you. It doesn't work that way. So in the case of Simon Ekpa, the Finland government had observed, they had watched, and they saw certain things that Simon Ekpa could not defend. Inflow and outflow of money. And of course, they had looked at his page, and they had observed that Simon Ekpa would display men that are harmed. Like I told you, he probably explained to them, these men are to secure because the Nigerian government are unwilling and my people are passing away. They are being unalived. It made sense to an extent, but then the Nigerian government presented some other evidences. And because Nigeria is a structure that is already in place, with a lot for Finland to make gain from, they took time. Eventually, they grabbed Simon Ekpa. The rest is history. Before they grabbed Simon Ekpa, they definitely must have done some homework, and they are sure that Simon Ekpa will be tried. But there is one thing. Is it that they held on to Simon Ekpa so as to dampen, like calm down the tension, or they will be charging Simon Ekpa and eventually deporting him? Why did I say deport Simon Ekpa? The truth of the matter is that they can cancel his residence or visa or passport. He's a citizen. They can, because it is part of the European Union law. If you are from a different country and you have naturalized, and then acts of terrorism, which is the basic that they have attached to him, you can be stripped of your citizenship and be deported. Even in the United States, it's the same thing. In the UK, it's the same thing. There are cases there all over social media where people who had gone into terrorism action, to them, that's what they call terrorism, is what they call it, their definition. They don't care if you're a freedom fighter, you're trying to fight for emancipation of your people. The world defines different action, how convenient it is to them. So it became end of story. Nigerian government is pushing and pressing to have Simon Ekpa in Nigeria. They said Simon Ekpa in Finland is not productive for the Finnish government. But I think there will be a kind of argument to keep Simon Ekpa there. Probably if they look into the part of family, maybe his kids will be like, no, we want to be able to say our daddy. Our daddy is not a terrorist. He was simply fighting to emancipate his people. Then they will have to now compare this side by side with the laws of the land. They'll be like, no, this man's presence in the life of his children is... And the thing is that Simon Ekpa is divorced from his wife. So I don't know what's going to happen. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Finnish government had met, and we were thinking that Tinubu was going to maybe put an end to the incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu, and maybe now that of Simon Ekpa, maybe Simon Ekpa will calm down, or there will be two factions. We don't really know what possibly was going to happen, but we were like, okay, let's see how it's going to turn out to be. But as it is, it's a serious issue. So the Finnish government, President Tinubu, they had thanked each other. They said thank you for arresting and detaining Simon Ekpa, and they said that the government would not tolerate actions and statements that could lead to divisiveness among citizens. And it's a serious issue. It's a serious matter. Tinubu said that he must thank them for record on safeguarding human rights in Nigeria, with the trial of Simon Ekpa that is coming up March. Nigeria is indivisible, he said. We have been through turbulent times and we don't want to promote terrorism. I am a child born into activism, but not divisiveness. We need cohesion and cooperation to bring about development. Our watchword is stability and cohesion to move the country forward. He went on to say that National Security Advisor Milam Nuhu Ribadu has informed him, and that he knows what the rule of law means. The rule of law safeguards our democratic credentials, morals, and values. We must respect the rule of law. And in response, the Finland government and the ambassador extolled the president for his courage in initiating reforms that will benefit the economy, security, and ensure prosperity in the future. He said Simon Ekpa. Now, this is the Finnish government, the ambassador saying. He said Simon Ekpa has been blocking, hindering bilateral relations. The cooperation between our two countries is now going very well. And the National Security Advisor has been providing all the evidence. So, who is a provider? Nuhu Ribadu. He said he salutes the government of Tinubu for the ongoing reforms, and that it is not easy, even though it is painful. He said it is the only way Nigeria can progress. He said it is essential for the country, and that Finland has also been involved in peace mediation, and that they are also going to be too happy and very happy with the opportunities in Nigeria for Finland to work in the energy sector. Now, do you see? I don't know if there is any chance for Simon Ekpa. Let's keep our fingers crossed. See you guys in the next update.